don't go to secondary school. Take the best. Good education base. You know, remember that. So, where I went to, maybe 99% Catholic. So there were one or two public schools. The rest was all boys in the boys' school, girls in the girls' school. And because we were not Catholic, my uncle and aunt said, well, there was no public school for girls and boys. There was a public school for boys. You can imagine how old-fashioned. So they sent, and I wanted to go to a gymnasium. In the gymnasium was Latin, Greek, French, German, Dutch, and Hebrew. Because I was 2 years in Holland in the Lyceum, I couldn't go to gymnasium because you start with Latin in the first day. So my aunt said, what do we do now? So I ended up in a girls' school to imagine how awful. Only girls in that school. After that school, my aunt said, you know, she was our guardian and she had full say about this. My father knew about guys and stroke, and she said, why don't you go to a Taekwondo school? I said, what? You don't do a Taekwondo school. You want to go to She said, you get always a job, which was true. I said, I want to be a nurse. Okay. I went to The Hague, Red Cross Hospital, for 2 years. And that was our education. That was 42, 45, which was World War II, second. And I was born and raised in Indonesia, so I wanted to go back there. At that particular time, they were not independent. They became independent in 1960. At that particular time, I, of course, didn't know that. I said, I want to go back to Indonesia. I want to be a nurse there, you know, for the people. So, in 1945, I immediately gave myself up to go to Indonesia. People in Indonesia said, you cannot come here, we must want you here. Well, finally, they do. And that I was allowed to go there, so I went there. I had given myself up to the Navy. I had an uncle who was there, I had people there. You had for everything, you had to have application. Well, they took me, so I was a Navy nurse, and what do you call it? I was a citizen in Navy service. So I had an officer status, but I was not in the Navy. I said, what does that mean? They can never court-martial you. Because that was how they explained it. They can never court-martial. Well, anyway, I had a wonderful time. And in the meanwhile, in the war, his aunt lived on a farm on the outside of Nijmegen. And I forgot how come they had me and you communicate together. But then my aunt said, you know, that she knew their cousin being him because he went to the same school in Holland. They said, well, after he, in the war, the first thing they did, he called up all the doctors. You know, everything guys going to the medical school was immediately called up. So they said, so he ended up in Indonesia in the same place where I was in the Navy hospital. So after all those years, from 1936 to 1945, we never had seen us. We saw each other in the hall, you know, going from one room to another. And, you know, boys which were 1 or 2 years older than they do. But anyway, he was sent to Indonesia to the place where the Navy hospital was. In the meanwhile, had got sick. I had malaria, dysentery, or whatever you could think of all at the same time. And I was recuperating. We were billing in a hotel. You know, all the nurses were in a hotel. And one time I was laying recuperating on the porch, and it came a jeep. Someone jumped out and said, "You know who I am?" "Sure, you are Arie Verhagen," because I knew he was coming, but I hadn't seen him all the way. So that is how we became acquainted again, and we finally decided to be engaged because his boss said to him, "Look, if you want to marry, you do it quick, because we are going to do an action job." So that is and the guy he was proud of it.
Yeah.
You're doing an action job, we are going to get Sukarno. Sukarno, he said, that time was the rebel in Indonesia, and we're going to get him. But of course nobody was supposed to go there. And then he was the only doctor. So he had to go there and say, "Look, if you want to man, do it now, because you never know if you come back or not. You know, you are a target. The minute you go down and down and down, you are a target, right? You cannot do it." But anyway, 1 or 2 days later, after we were married, he left Jogja, and they got Sukarno. You know, which was that time, and then so came back happily, and then he was mobilized, and we went back to Holland, and we decided we don't want the Holland to be so small, you know, and we just felt hooked up there that we said we go to America. And meanwhile, his interest in pediatric surgery was coming up at that particular time, you know. You operated on whoever was there, but this was specific pediatric surgery, and that was coming up in America, but not in Europe, you know, because Europe was in the war. So he said, "The one I have to go to is Dr. Gross in Baltimore." So he applied for it, and was accepted, and that is how we arrived here on the 22nd of January 1956. In Philadelphia, around Christmas time.
Yeah,
Right.
December 25.
We came by plane, where we came not
Right.
over Ellis Island. Everybody else came over Ellis Island. We came by plane, and we had to go to Philadelphia, of course. And in Philadelphia, Dr. Koop was up from his office. This is how we came to visit through here. Look what we have brought in the ring. But anyway, we started the Children's Hospital for 3 years for his, you know, that was the time you could get in Europe.
Yeah.
Now you can get it. And so we ended up